Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to install this 8-gang switch panel from Auxbeam. They sent this out for me to show you guys, but there is a lot that we need to go over before you decide on purchasing this. First of all, this is not really a switch panel. It's more of a breaker panel, and there's a pretty big difference. This switch panel does not really turn on and off your lights. It turns on and off your power that goes to your lights. Well, Zach, isn't that what this is supposed to do? Well, yes, it does what it's designed to do, and that is to turn off and on the power. But some applications require an actual closure for their lights to come on. Now, I have some accessories that turn on and off just fine, but then I also have some that require that closure. For example, I have two totally different rock lights on the truck. I have a set of SunPy rock lights, which can be turned on and off with power. And then I have a set of last fit rock lights that actually require a 2-position switch to be turned on and off. But there is a way around turning those last fit rock lights on with this switch panel. You would have to keep the 2-position switch in one of the on positions, and then you can use this to turn off the power and turn it back on. Now for my underglow lighting, I'm not actually able to use this switch panel with it because it always needs power the way I'm using it. I have my underglow lights hooked to my amp running boards to come on. So there's an aux cord that feeds those amp running boards, and the initial connection has to always be powered on. And this switch panel does not have terminals that are always powered on, which I think actually would be a really good feature if it did. So the way I have that hooked up to my amp power boards, I would not be able to use it that way because the lights would not come on when the boards deploy. I also wouldn't mind that switch panel actually having some terminal connections where it just gives you a closure. So one other light is my LED bull bar on the front. In order to get that to turn on, you would have to cut off the relay and get rid of all that and hook it directly to this switch panel. But for demonstration purposes, I actually took the connection that requires a closure and I shorted those together in order to be able to use the switch panel with the bull bar. Because I actually wired up my bull bar to my high beam headlights, and I really like it that way because I actually have the bull bar come on when I have my high beams come on. So with all that being said, I'm not ditching the company. This product actually looks and feels really good, and it does what it says it is going to do, and that is to turn off and on power to the accessories. But in my case, where I like building automation into my truck and using different lights to work with like my power boards, I'm not actually able to use this switch panel to its full potential. So now I want to show you the install and show you what this panel can do. Here's the switch panel that's going to go in the truck, and then here is where all your connections will be made. That'll go under the hood. I'll find a place for that. And then here's everything else that comes in the box. This right here is what I currently have for all my rock lights, underglow lighting, and accessory lighting. So I'm actually going to replace this guy with the Auxbeam setup. I went ahead and removed the battery cover and the fuse box cover. Let me get this out of the way, and then I'll show you how to install the new box. All right, I've got that removed and out of the way. So here is the mounting bracket for the new setup, and I want to put that right here. So I'm going to drill some holes through this, but I need to make a modification. I'm going to cut the ends of this off in order to fit that better. All right, so right here is where I cut off on both sides, so that should allow that to fit nicely right where I want to install it. I went ahead and finished up that mount. It fits perfectly right there, so I just had those 2 screws and it's pretty solid. I also went ahead and made all the connections I needed to make for all my accessory wiring. I ran all the wires out through this hole right here in the back of the cover. I connected my positive connection here and my negative connection here to the battery. For each accessory that I hooked up, I went with whatever fuse that it came with. So my rock lights went with 10 amp fuses and my bull bar went with a 30 amp fuse. This connection right here is for your switch panel, and I did a fuse tap into number 3, and that is headlamp left. So what that does is it comes on when you actually turn on your accessory. I wanted my fuse tap to actually come on without actually having to start the engine. This connection right here is what I'm about to start running, and it will go all the way down there and then into the cab. I'm gonna go ahead and direct the wire that needs to go in the cab right through that boot. So luckily I've already run a wire through there, so I'm gonna use it as a pull string. Once I came through that firewall, the cable ended up right here, and I decided to install the switch right there. I thought about installing the switch panel right up here, but I wasn't crazy about having a panel right here. I tucked it nice and neat right inside of that opening. It was very easy to run that cable right through there, and then it kind of goes down that way and it hooks right up and it sits perfect right there. If you're in your truck driving, you can easily see the switch panel right there. And it's very easy to reach down there and turn on the accessory you want. Now that I'm finished with all the connections, we can put this cover right back on, and that's how it will look. So now let's check everything and make sure it works. So here is the front light bar, and the light does come on. I'm gonna try the rock light. So do remember that I did have to have this switch on because it does require a closure in order to operate. So let me run over here and check this, and it is on. For my second rock light, I just chose to call it Underglow because there was not another rock light label. So I turned that on. Now I did have to go ahead and grab the SunPower remote to turn it on initially, but now when I turn it on and off there, it goes on and off like it should. So let's make sure it's lit up. And that one is also lit up. So I've got them all on, and now if I turn the on-off button, it will actually shut every accessory off. Okay, it's nighttime. Let's go ahead and show you this switch panel lit up at night. So there's the location right there where I installed it. All right, now I want to show you the app. So it's called the switch panel. It opens up, and then you can see over there, if you change the color of the actual switch panel, you can set it to whatever color you want that to be in the truck. And then you've got preset colors. You can select those, and you can turn your brightness way up or way down. All right, so standing outside of the truck, I want to show you, I've got the 3 positions that I've used up. So you can go to icon, and then you can go to default icon, and you can choose between any of these different icons in order to label your switch panel. So we're going to go back, and then also you can go and set the icon name. So I actually went up here and labeled that bull bar, and then I labeled that last fit, and then SunPower to differentiate between my 2 rock light kits. All right, so now I want to show you how you can control all these lights with your phone. So if I hit bull bar, it turns the bull bar on, and then I'll turn it off. So now for the rock lights, I've got my last fit set, so I'm just gonna hit that, and then I'll turn that off. And now I'm gonna hit the SunPower rock lights, and that cuts those on. And now I'll cut them off. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this install and review. This is a pretty nice product, but it does have some limitations. The biggest thing you need to decide on is if you want your switch panel to turn on and off your power, or if you want a switch panel that actually has power all the time. Me personally, this doesn't actually work for me that well because I actually have devices that need that certain closure in order to turn them on. And I've actually built in some automation to some of my lights to come on with the truck. If those limitations are not a big deal to you, then I definitely would recommend the switch panel. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Until next time, see y'all.